Let me go on. Jesus Christ. You guys can see and hear me? Can you guys, if you guys can see and hear me, say yes. Hello, hello, hello. I'm trying to go live and it for some reason is telling me that I'm not live, but I see people say um, that I am. Hey, Trey. Hey, Lucky T. Let me know if you guys can see me. Awesome, awesome, awesome. Okay, we are live. Thank you guys for tuning in. It's Friday. It's Friday, and today's reunion, I think today's Ready to Love reunion was probably the best that I have seen. And you guys know here at Reality Check, we have watched every single Ready to Love recap and reunion from the very beginning. So this show, this season forecast gave us a reunion worth tuning in for. So I'm glad that you guys are here and ready. You know, we have a very special guest. I'm going to bring her in. She looks absolutely beautiful. But before we do that, in case you guys did not see this, I'm going to run a couple of clips from tonight's reunion just to remind you guys of what happened tonight. Tonight was, we're going to get into all that with our guests, but let's just look at exactly and see what happened earlier this evening.
How did these men shift to Kyra? Question them, don't question me. Let me finish. You acting shady, don't do that.
Which one of these two ladies are you interested in?
Ready to Love, Friday, 9/8 Central. Part of Real Drama Weekends on OWN.
Question them, don't question her. Y'all hear me? Question them, don't question her. The lady of the hour, Kyra, is here. She's getting ready to join us in 2 seconds. But tonight's, how do you guys feel about the reunion? Like, I couldn't believe some of the things I was saying. We know, okay, we see you guys are going ahead with the Joelle, Vernisha, all that stuff. But before, without any other ado, let me bring in the lady of the hour. Please help me welcome our beautiful guest for tonight, Miss Kyra.
Hey guys, how are y'all? Hope y'all are enjoying this Friday and that this Ready to Love reunion may have been a little cherry on the top.
It was definitely, you know, people were waiting for this reunion, and I think you guys definitely delivered. I'm trying to get my lighting right. Y'all definitely gave us a reunion worth waiting up for.
Well, I'm glad.
All the ladies look beautiful. It was just, I mean, it was really a good reunion. Like I said, I've been watching this show from the very beginning. Our audience loves the show. We talk about it every week. And so last week we had AJ, and the week before we had Alexis. So now we get a chance to hear from Kyra's
into that triangle. Ooh.
Yes. Now I want to say, because we talked about you several times on the show, obviously, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I said that I think, in my opinion, a lot of times women kind of go in, at least we've seen in past seasons, women are usually like kind of at the mercy of the guy. Mm-hmm. And the woman is like, you know, so who do you want to pick? And then the guy is like, I'm trying to figure it out. We saw that with London and Alexis and Divine. Mm-hmm. We saw it before with Shatava and Mike and Shay and so many other people in that first season. We saw Mario, Tondi, and Reba. And it's always like the guy has the ability to choose. Mm-hmm. I love the fact. And I have said that, like, Kyra really is like, I'm gonna do what's best for me. And you know, I'm not gonna, it's not just about what he wants, it's about what I want. So I feel like you really stood up for the ladies, because it really should not be us waiting on them to choose all the time.
Right.
So you come in with that, because that's like one of your first scenes. You were like, you know, I know Houston has that, you know, pick me girl mentality. They definitely have it here in Atlanta as well.
Okay.
You were like, I'm not with that. So did you come in with the mentality like, I'm not going to be at their mercy, it's going to be what I want?
It wasn't like an intentional, I guess, thing. That's just honestly my mindset and how I date. Like, I will let a man know my intentions and that I'm interested in him, but I'm not going to initially lead in where the relationship goes. So I was serious about, Houston does have that men get chose mentality. And even though I know that we were in this salute of this experience of being men and women, and I was a fan of the show from the beginning as well, I just knew that I was not going to change that mentality just because we were in this, interesting, journey of being on the show.
Right, right. Now tell us about, I always ask people about dating before.
Mm-hmm.
What was your, because I didn't realize Houston is a lot like Atlanta in that you have a large group of urban professional singles.
Right.
Has a lot going on. I didn't realize it was like the same type of energy. In Atlanta, women are like, definitely like, I'm not going to wait on him. I'm going to go after what I want. So what was your dating experience like before Ready to Love?
So I have been active, like I was in a very long-term relationship. I took some time after that to kind of just heal, get back centered with myself. And I've been actively dating for like the last 5 years, like really putting myself out there. It's been, girl, a circus. From just like dating men who I guess see me as a lawyer and feel like they have to match that, so they may lie about what their profession is. To men who maybe see me, oh, she's a lawyer, so that's gonna be my sugar mama, or dudes just on games and BS and all the stuff that they're on, everywhere else. Like I have met a few guys that were solid, but then the issue there was they weren't really ready to settle down.
Right.
And so it's just like, okay, well, nothing else is working. Let me go on the show and see if Tommy can help me out.
So do you really want, is your desire to settle down and actually get married?
Yeah, so I'm 34. I'm not on a societal timeline and being like, oh, once I have to get married, I have to have kids. But I do want to be a mother, and I do want to be married first. Before, no offense to anyone who does it outside that. Just personally, I want to be married before I have children. And what hit me was that my mom, it wasn't even about, we weren't talking about children or anything, but she just mentioned, how she's getting up and older, how her body's changing. And for whatever reason, that conversation hit me like, yo, my mom is getting older. And I know that she, wants grandchildren. I would want my children to be able to have as much time with her as possible. So I'm not rushing to have children by any means. Yeah. But I am looking for someone not only to start a family, but I'm tired of dating. Like,
girl, I know.
I
understand, and the audience understands. Yes. It's just, we all can relate. But you're 34. Trust me. Take your time. Take your time.
And I am, which y'all can see from.
Right. We see that you're on that. No, you're right, and that's good. Like you have time. It's not a rush. That's a good thing. And I keep saying that women, a lot of times, when you said, a man has to court me, men will do what you present yourself to them, right? So if you present yourself as a woman that needs to be courted, they will govern themselves accordingly. If you present yourself as a woman that is willing to let them do less, they will do less.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
and you commented on one thing about just like how you set yourself out there. I've seen, when I first came to Houston, it was kind of weird because I saw women, professional women who were beautiful and had a lot going for themselves, see a man and be like, yeah, I'm going to go get him. Like, they would be the aggressor. And I'm not going to lie. I was like, well, if that's the game, let me, get into it. And I tried it once. And every time I tried it twice. And every time I found myself leading in the relationship thereafter. I was like, oh, yeah, no, I ain't got time for this. That's not, not what I'm
That's doing. Real. I think I've had the same experience because I tried different things and I was like, okay, that doesn't work for Christal.
Right.
It does work for some women. There are some women that are okay with doing that. And there are some men. I also realized that the men that I'm attracted to are not the type of man that wants that. They want to be the one that's the aggressor. So I'm like, let me act according to what I want.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
So Mona says, thank God I'm married. People say, Kyra, you're awesome. My type of chick. Your hair is beautiful. The comments are coming in on the side. Now, it's funny. The clip that I just played, at one point, and we have laughed about this, all the men on the show, it seemed, had you in their top. I will even say, I watched the show with my fiance. I asked him, I was like, who would be your top? Kyra, you were his top.
Oh, Lord.
Kyra?
No.
What? hey, I mean, you know, you're a beautiful woman. Obviously,
Thank you.
not only beautiful, but you also have a lot going on for you.
Thank you.
How did you feel? How did you feel when you watched and all the guys, or did you know that that happened before that episode aired? Where I mean, people we didn't even know you were going on dates with were listing you as their top. David.
Okay.
Joel?
So David and I, so okay, Jason was expected. AJ and I, we had this, you know, back and forth thing. So it wasn't surprising that he put me in that position. David and I actually we had one really good one-on-one date, and we had a couple of group dates. So David and I did have a connection. There were some things that I liked about David that where you say that type of guy who will allow you to just be a woman and sit back in your femininity, and he'll take the lead in certain ways. I saw that in him in some regard. So I did, you know, David was in my top 3. He never was like top 1. And I was honest with the guys. Hey, look, one thing what people cannot say about Kyra, I never lied to anyone. I never sent them off. Even though like David told me that I was his number 1, I was very honest and being, you know, and said, "You're not mine." I'm flattered by that, but you know, this is why that is.
What about
Joel?
Where'd that come from?
Girl, I don't know. That's what when I found out that he said that, I was like, yo, dude is tripping. Like, we're cool. We had conversations, but Joel reached out to like all of the women, not in an intimate or romantic way, but just like, you know, hey baby, I'm just checking on, you know, how you doing, you know, and whatnot. So when he said that, I was like, you know, you for me and me for you. Like, what are you talking about? So I didn't even call him or anything because I really just felt like he was tripping, and let me just stay as far away from that as possible.
Yeah, that was unexpected for everybody. But at that point, I was like, I wonder if he said that just because, like, obviously you were the prize of the room at that point. Mm-hmm. And sometimes guys just, I mean, I don't know. I mean, maybe he really did feel like that. And who knows?
I know that Joel and I did have good conversations, but it was, so I don't know if maybe because he felt a way that he wasn't really communicating with V Will. I don't know if that's what his mind reverted to, like, oh, who did I have a good conversation with most recently? But Joel and I did not go on any dates on camera. We didn't go on any dates off camera. Like, we were not on that type of time at all.
He was out of control. That was Now, okay, we had AJ on Monday actually, and we asked him about this because that's hilarious. That's never happened in all the history of Ready to Love. It's never happened where one woman just did a sweep like that. So we had to ask him his opinion of that, and he said that he thought it was because of I'm sorry. My fiance heard me say that, and he said I should have kept my mouth shut. Sorry. I mean, she's a beautiful woman. I'm okay with that.
And it takes a confidence in a woman who knows her worth and her value, and her man ain't going nowhere to be like, okay, I know she can too.
I mean, I asked him because I think I like, you know, hearing his opinion on the women, and I think that, you know, different things. But I don't have a problem with my fiance saying that you're beautiful or any other women are beautiful. But yeah, that's funny that he saw
He's
that.
Like, why you put me out there like that?
Out the street, like, but I'm not like that. But okay, so AJ suggested that one of the reasons why you swept the room the way you did is because you're a good listener. And I like that clip because I think that I have a girlfriend that is absolutely drop dead gorgeous. And I said to her one day, we were talking, and I was like, well, you know, you can always get any guy you want. And she was like, do you think it's just my looks? Are you discounting me like that? Mm-hmm. And I was like, what? And she was like, oh, no, I pay a lot of attention. I'm very catering. I do a lot. I put a lot of work in. I was like, oh, wow. You know what I mean? That's interesting. But she was like, I do a lot to make them feel very needed. So when AJ said that, I was like, that's really interesting because I think there are a lot of beautiful women. I'm definitely not slighting any of the women on the show.
No, not at all.
It's a gorgeous cast. Mm-hmm. But I do think that him saying that made me think, I wonder what her perspective of that is. He suggested it could be because you're a lawyer and you're taught to do that.
Oh my gosh. He's always trying to blame it on me being a lawyer.
He said that he felt like that was, but I do think like I'm a talker because that's what I do. So I'm a talker in relationships. Sometimes what we do does kind of bleed over, but what do you think about that? And do you feel like you were somebody that really listens to guys, and have you heard that feedback from them?
I do, but I think it's in part because of my grandmother, not me being, trained as an attorney, but my grandmother growing up and my mother as well. They are both very thoughtful women. And that's how they show their love, by listening and picking up on small things. Not like part of my love language is like gift giving and acts of service. So in order to know how to do that personal to you, I have to be listening and paying attention. And also I don't like wasting my time. So if I'm going to have a conversation with you, I want it to be a meaningful conversation for me to, one, get to know who you are, if we are a good fit for each other. So in order for me to learn that, I do have to ask certain quality type of questions. And then thereafter, like if I care about you, I'm going to follow up on certain things. Like, if you got something going on, or if you have a deadline that you're trying to reach, like, hey, can I help you with that? And it's not even a malicious or me playing chess or Monopoly or anything like that. That's just who I am. And if I care about you and I'm spending time in these conversations to really see where we can go, that part of me is naturally going to come out.
Yeah. I think that's great. I think that obviously AJ said that, but obviously he appreciated that as well. Anybody would, right? So I think that's a good lesson for women, because it does seem like men don't feel like they're heard a lot, so I think that's the rest of us that are listening can pick that up and put that in our arsenal.
And even like I have a lot of stuff going on. Girl, sometimes I cheat. I'll make a note, or I'll put something in my calendar, like, hey, make sure you follow up, with this on that day with him, like, because I do really want to, and I don't want the moment to pass. But hey, like, there are ways to be intentional and make sure that you're cultivating, quality relationships with people, so that they know that you really care. Because nowadays it's hard to really tell.
It is. I think that's a good note for women. It's like a lot of times we can get so caught up in what we're doing. Those little things are important. So making that. I do think that that your professionalism could help you with that a little.
It probably does. I'm not.
It does help a little bit. But I want to ask you some more questions about tonight's finale, because it was pretty good. But before we get into that, the clip that I played, Alexis kind of questioned you about that, and I thought your response was on point, because you can't. I mean, it's not your place to answer why the guys were all picking you. But how did you feel about her kind of bringing that up and questioning you at that moment?
I was very frustrated with it. I had already felt that energy while we had been taping the show. And then when I saw it, we watched episodes with you guys. So then when I saw that she had said that in an interview, I was just like, what? Like, no, yes, I am a trained attorney. So I do think critically. My mom raised me. Y'all ever met y'all met her a little bit, but Kyra Coffey is going to challenge you to think through some stuff. So it's not about me being facetious in any type of way. If the men have told you something and are acting a different way, I don't have anything. I wasn't a part of the conversations, and their behavior is on them. So don't ask me why they switched up. Ask them. I don't have any control of that. That wasn't me. Like I say, playing Monopoly or manipulating them in any type of way. They're grown men. They made decisions that they wanted to make. If they misled you, then that is a conversation that you should have with them, not me.
Yeah.
And I shouldn't be blamed or penalized for that.
Yeah, no, I agree with that part. I thought that was kind of out of line. I did. What do you think of? Because we watched episodes. It seemed I've said up front, I would never be on a dating show, because I'm not cut like that. Like I'm not into you going out with somebody else and me seeing y'all do that. I'm like, you can have. My mom would say you can get them, you can have them. I'm not competitive like that when it comes to guys. So that would not have been a good environment for me. But watching Alexis talk to some of the other women about what she felt about you guys' relationship, how did you feel about those scenes?
I didn't like it. Like, for example, I saw that she had made the comment when we were in the jacuzzi, and she was like, see, they're arguing now. They're always arguing. Actually, AJ and I were not arguing at that time. Were we are both of us sometimes passionate talkers or passionate speakers, as people say? Yes, but we were not arguing. And then for her to question him at the ranch and ask him, do you want to be with somebody that, you know, y'all are in dysfunction, or would you rather be, you know, with someone like me? I was just like, I never spoke on any of the other women's relationships with the men.
Right.
That had nothing to do with me. If she was a better fit for you, then cool. Just be honest, put it all on the table, and go forward. But to speak down on someone else when you don't know the intimate conversations that are had or the true dynamic between the two of them, I felt was a little inappropriate.
Yeah, I wondered how you felt about that. But then I gotta say, when your reaction, all right, let me go back.
Let's talk about it.
But I will say this: I've said to the audience, because we've been going through this entire season, I felt like David. I do feel like David was trying to figure things out. And then I think he really liked Liz a lot too, but I felt like he liked you guys in two different ways. It seemed like he just seemed like he was like nervous around you. You were like the one that he was like a little kid around. I think with Liz, it was something different. But your reaction to him choosing Liz or even really spending time with Liz, I was kind of thrown off, because I was like, you weren't really giving a lot of energy either way. You were kind of like, I'm gonna see what this is. I'm gonna see what that is. I'm not gonna let you push me either way. But when he chose her, you kind of like switched. So what was that? What was that about?
So you guys don't see all the dates that we've gone on that were filmed. And there was also, I mean, we were not supposed to, but Jason and I did spend a lot of time also together off camera. So
I was talking about Jason. I'm sorry. I said David. I meant Jason.
You kind of confused me, but then when you started talking about scenarios, I was like, okay, she's talking about.
I'm sorry, guys. I meant Jason. Right.
And so to me, it took me off kilter because things were said to me that were contrary to the behavior of what I was saying in front of me. And so kind of how he made the commentary to say, like, at the ranch, you know, hey, you're the captain, I'm the soldier, whatever. Just tell me what the play is. That wasn't the first time he had said that to me. That had been said to me on multiple occasions before then. And so when it was being thrown in my face that I wasn't choosing him, no, I didn't say he was my number one, because like I said, there were some things that we had off camera that I was kind of like, I like him, but I don't know if he's for me. And so I did feel like in choosing at the end of the journey, it is to say you're in a committed relationship. And you are going, committed relationship is not marriage. But for me, I'm only entering into a committed relationship if I feel like you are the potential to be my husband. Because if not, why are we wasting time and being committed to each other? Right. So I was not yet 100% secure in feeling like he was the one for me. But what he was saying to me was that, yo, Liz, you know, I like her. And I'm not trying to shade anybody in any type of way. It was just the things that were said to me were contrary to what was in front of me. And in speaking like of my reaction at the deliberation when I laughed, I said in that moment, my laughter was not at Liz in any type of way. Was it inappropriate, full context? Yes, it was. But in that moment, based on things that had been said to me very recent, I was kind of like, well, that's odd, because that doesn't really match up. Now, yes, Jason had chose Liz. It was all good. Like the night before that, he and I had actually gone on a date on camera. We ended on good terms. Cool, you got Liz. I'm working with AJ, and we're both happy with that decision. We can move forward as friends. I asked him, like, hey, you know, because AJ made the comment to say that I was straddling the fence. And I just wanted Jason to know that it wasn't me straddling the fence to play with either of you guys. I wanted to just be certain of the decision that I was making and what Kyra needed. Not that people could be good people, but that doesn't mean that they're good for each other.
That's true.
And so I just wanted to be sure that if I'm choosing someone, I didn't want to be like all the other couples, or not all, but many of the couples who left the show, who they come to the reunion and
most of them
they're not together.
Right.
Why even play that game?
Right.
So to hear things that Liz was saying that to me kind of negatively reflected Jason and I's connection or relationship, when that wasn't what he had expressed to me, I felt played. And you know how you have the aha moment, like, you know what? Okay, I see what this is like.
But I guess I wonder, like, that's going to have to happen regardless, because you don't get a chance to see what he's saying to her. You don't get a chance to see what you're saying with AJ. Same thing AJ said. He was like, when I got a chance to watch back and saw, I was like, oh, wow. You didn't see you and Jason together. You didn't see Jason and Liz together. So I guess, and I thought Liz handled it very well because she didn't go there. But it just seemed, I mean, at some point, you guys all have to know that what the person is saying to you is probably not exactly what they're saying to the other person, or they wouldn't be able to date both.
I kind of disagree with that. And only because I have been honest.
You did. You were the only one.
Even like when AJ was saying that, yo, I'm choosing you, or when David said, yo, I'm choosing you, I still was like, yo, I like you, you're cool, but this is who I'm rocking with. So I feel like there was still, because I'm never going to fault you for being honest with me. I will, even if you make the best decision for you, I will. And this is how I date in real life. If I'm dating a guy and he meets somebody else and they're a better fit, just be honest with me and tell me. My feelings gonna be hurt, but I'm gonna get over it. But when you play me and lie to me, then I have a problem with that.
So when you and Jason, the date that you guys were on, I don't know if this was the date you were talking about, the date you guys were on, where you asked him basically, did he choose Liz only because he thought you were choosing AJ?
No, I didn't even ask that question. The conversation that we had was more of a conversation and just being like how we got to this point, where the breakdown was, where the disconnect was, and it didn't work out. I wish you the best. He wished me the best, and we're friends moving forward. And I had asked him like, hey, is there something that that was misleading, or that I wasn't sincere or disingenuous with you? And he said, no, Kyra, not at all. Like, you did keep it honest with me. So at the table, to hear Liz say, yo, Jason said that you were disingenuous and that you were honest with him, I was like, yo, we just had the conversation and he just told me the complete opposite. And then when she said, yo, he said he changed his mind weeks ago, I was like, that timeline doesn't add up. So I felt like you can be honest in choosing someone else without dismissing what you had with the other person. That's just my take.
Do you think that because I felt like I think Jason picked Liz because it was a safer choice. I think he liked both of you guys, but I feel like it was a safer, he didn't know what you were doing. At least that's what we see.
No, that was honest. That is how it was. That is 100% accurate.
But I also feel like at the end, I felt like you probably weren't really as into AJ as you were Jason, because Jason was the one that you seemed that really got a response out of you. To me, at that where we didn't see that with AJ, and even at the end. Well, let me ask you about that with Jason. Would things have been different if Jason and Liz did not connect that way? Because to me, it seemed like you were you were in between the two. You didn't really show any emotion until Jason chose Liz, and then it was like, oh, well, maybe she really does like Jason. Maybe Jason really was her top pick.
Again, I could just say all the dates were not shown. But no, there would not have been a different outcome if Jason had not chosen Liz. My only problem with that was, if you had made up your mind weeks ago, then why didn't you just tell me? Because otherwise we're just wasting each other's time. If you know that I'm not the one for you, then cool, just cut it then. And it had gotten to the point, like when we had the conversation at the tennis court, where it was clear to me that this is not going to work, which is why I said to AJ, I knew I was about to get eliminated, because I knew that Jason and I were not really that compatible, and I was not ready yet. If I'm emotionally engaged with someone, I can't just flip a switch and go to the next guy. Even though AJ and I had this, kind of fling going with each other, we had not really been intentional with each other until the latter part of the season. And so I do agree with what you were saying, in that it wasn't, you may not have seen that same intensity between AJ and I as far as Jason and I, because I have been mostly intentional with Jason and not AJ. And so that's why I asked AJ at the end, like, hey, can I just have a little bit more time to get to that place? Because we're cool, we like each other, but we haven't really spent that much time with each other to get to that, to make that type of decision, in my opinion.
No, I respected the fact that you didn't get caught up in the romanticism of the show and just say, okay. And then, like you said, most of the couples come back and it's like, Tommy asked, "Are y'all together?" And it's like, there's a pause. They go to commercial break and they come back and they're not together. I have a feeling that will happen again. But the point, but what was it about AJ? Because I feel like one of the things that helped him was you guys had this past, right? So there was a little bit of at least some type of attraction. You guys, you know, he explained that you guys were kind of in the same industry. You were an entertainment attorney at a time. In entertainment, you guys had that connection. Did that play into, if you guys had never ever gone on a date, do you think that you and AJ would have had that going back and forth, or do you think it would have been maybe somebody else might have had a shot, if not for that history with the two of you guys?
AJ's and I history, from my perspective, we went on those dates like 4 years ago, and then we didn't communicate at all. Like, we follow each other on Instagram, but AJ didn't really post anything, so he wasn't like somebody that, even though it wasn't like we kept in contact the entire time. And so I don't think it played a part it did not play that heavy on me that we had to pass. Now, it did make me a little bit more leery, because I was like, okay, I'm still trying to figure you out here. The first take didn't go so well, but I was honest when we talked at the mixer that first time to just put the past behind us and move forward. Even though you say that, there was still some kind of underlying tension between AJ and I that I think if we had not had a past, then that element probably would not have been there.
Yeah. Is there anybody else that you had a connection with, or feel like you could have had a connection with if you had more time? Nobody else. Okay.
Who are you thinking?
I don't know. I mean, I didn't realize you and David actually, because I thought that was out of left field. You know, we don't know what's going on behind the scenes. So I think that I think that, well, Khalil did horrible tonight at the hearing. He did horribly. Khalil's
a cool guy. I just think he has to get out of his own way a little bit.
Obviously, he almost got in his own way tonight.
Man.
What was your take on? Because I was actually hoping. I've been rooting for Khalil and Andrea. She came on and she's adorable, just beautiful and so smart. And I wish we had got a chance to see more of her on the show. I think she kind of got, the show has to go how it has to go. People have to get eliminated. But I thought they were so, cute. So I was happy to see that Christian and connected. That seems, because I think if you're shy, this show isn't really a good place for you.
No.
Also, if you're not good with words, Khalil is definitely not good with words. And maybe Ida did great on their interview, but she also was a little different as well. So like people have a hard time connecting sometimes when people don't say exactly what they want to hear. But what did you think of those couples? And do you think that they will actually, can you tell us what your opinion is on the two of those couples and if they'll be able to actually stay together?
I do think that Christian and Andrea are both adorable, and I think that I don't know them. I know Christian more than Andrea, so I think that they might do well together. But Andrea's super dope. Like, even in getting to know her more close, I'm like, girl, you in the sneakers and you have this going on. You are not just a cat lady. Like, look. She got a short end of the stick. She was very, very, very good, easy to talk to, and a lot of fun. I thought Khalil probably needs somebody like Ida, because she would probably today she seemed like, well, tonight she seemed like she's about to get in his ass. Ida does not play, so that's why I'm like, I don't know, because Ida is not like you. Like, Ida is not. I mean, which most of us, as women, we should not tolerate anything less than what you want or deserve. So I feel like she did feel slighted, kind of, and maybe at one point him wanted to keep the relationship secret, and then now, without discussing with her, you're just like, oh, I'm gonna put it out there now. So I don't know. I know that Ida is an amazing woman. I feel like she kind of got the short end of the stick too with how she was portrayed. But I know whatever way, she's gonna find her man.
Yeah, I think everybody will, if that's what you want. What did you think? Because I thought Dietrich, I was shocked to see him go so quickly, and also the way he went. But I think dating at this way kind of amps up. It's like dating on steroids, right? So all that's going to happen. So there was nobody else that you talked to that you thought, well, I could at least get to know him, or I wish I got to know him a little bit better?
Diedrich has become a very, very, very good friend. Like, that's like my brother. But during the show, like dating intimately, like no, but Diedrich is an amazing man, like really, really, really.
Yeah.
Like I said, David and I had gone a couple of days. I like David, but I don't know if long term we would really be compatible.
Yeah. What did you think about David's David and his
exit?
The way his exit, but even before his exit, there was like a lot of tumultuous of like him having issues with trust. He seemed to really have been hurt in his past. We all have. But what did you think of just the way he handled some of the situations, on the show? And of course, leaving, like that was really shocking. Even Tommy said that he was shocked to see him.
Yeah. That. David and I, like, even for example, when Stacey came and told us, the conversation that they had about the passwords and whatnot, I called David and I was like, yo, what is this about?
Good for you. So you were actually one of the most genuine people there. So what did he say?
He was like, no, I didn't mean it like that. Like, I'm more so meaning, if we're together, then it shouldn't be this level of secrecy, or not that I want to have it, but I would like to have access to it. And so I kind of got his point, but I don't think his delivery of certain things was on the target. And so, like, even when I saw the exit date with him and Liz, I was very disappointed. Like, I was very disappointed.
I'm not gonna lie. My predictions were David and Liz would have been perfect together, just because. And I say that just because I thought I saw their backgrounds, right? And it seemed like their backgrounds were both very conservative and religious, and it seemed like on camera they had great chemistry, but no.
Yeah, not so.
Nah. All right. So now that brings me to what someone has said, the bad guy for this season. Which is Ron, and there actually is a commercial. Actually, let me play this clip. Play a clip, and then I want to come back and talk about Ron and what in the hell happened.
Here's the thing: she didn't tell me that she kissed AJ. I knew how that felt, and I've always had a connection with Amber. She's always in my top 3. We've been on many dates.
Many dates?
A couple dates.
No, we haven't.
We had one.
How you go from many to one?
Now you throwing jabs.
Exactly.
Okay, well, here's the thing. She didn't tell me that she kissed AJ. I knew how that felt. And I've always had a connection with Amber. She's always in my top 3. We've been on many dates.
Many dates?
A couple dates.
No, we haven't.
We had one.
How you go from many to one? You haven't been a man through this whole entire process. You lie and tell Alexis that we've been planning to date each other after the show, which was a lie. You just sat here and said we went on a couple of dates. Another lie. I mean, we can go down. I'm pretty sure I can talk to each and every person and talk about a lie that you have said. I'm talking about the lies that you just spewed out of your mouth.
Okay, so let me ask this. When you kissed her, was you in the midst of her?
We were done.
No. So this is what I'm saying. We had just finished having a 3-hour conversation.
But we were done. It was heat.
What do you think when that conversation was over?
I was still up in the air about it.
Okay.
Because I still had feelings for him. This man never said, we're done.
Ron.
Well.
Ron. First of all, I apologize, y'all. That clip ran twice, but Ron, I didn't even know all this was going on. We didn't even know all this was happening with Ron behind the scenes. I thought Ron and Chrysanthemum's dates were well, and then all of a sudden we just saw a side of him that was very vindictive, and like Tommy actually had to say, not in the history of the show has anybody been so disrespectful to women, or, spoke to a woman like that. What the hell? Like what? And then we saw there was a commercial showing that you were saying Ron was in the middle of a lot of stuff with you as well. What is going on?
During filming, a lot of stuff was kind of floating around, and apparently it was coming from Ron. And so the scene that you see where you see me standing up and getting frustrated is because I like how I mentioned like earlier where I felt like there was this underlying tension between me and some of the ladies. I asked them like, yo, what was the problem? And they have revealed to me at that time that Ron had mentioned to them that I was talking about them behind their backs. And so I was appalled because I had not had any conversations with Ron in any type of way. So to say that and to have created this animosity between the women feeling like I'm talking about them, I was like, yo, what in the world? I didn't even talk to this guy. Like, I don't like that his name was always in the midst of some type of drama or some type of he say, she say. And I was just like, that is so out of pocket. And I did not like it. And I actually asked Ron about that.
And what was his, and was he ever disrespectful towards you?
No, not at all. No. I mean, disrespectful, I guess, if you want to count lying on me and telling them that I was saying something that at no point had I ever said. And I actually, was intentional about not speaking down on any of the other ladies because that's not what this is about. So for you to go and say that, I was just like, and I thought we were cool. So I was like, yo, what?
Yeah.
I was baffled. I was very frustrated at that point. But he said that it wasn't. He said that was a lie, that he did not tell them that I had said that. And he further said, if he was telling what had happened in the, men deliberations, it was just so that people were making clear decisions. And he said that his intentions were good, if they, even if they weren't perceived that way.
Well, I'll go back to Amber because what I did notice in that clip is that when he asked he asked Amber, do they have a connection? Amber did not respond. At least that's not what we saw. And even when Alexis confronted Amber, she hadn't been 100% honest, about her kissing Ron to KG, and it felt a little bit like, I don't know. I just felt a little bit like maybe Amber was hiding a little bit. I mean, he did lie about saying multiple dates, and then multiple dates ended up being one date. That was that was quick. Yeah, he called him quick. Like, how I go from multiple to one?
Yeah.
But when he asked her about the connection, she didn't. She said, well, let's talk about your lies. So, do you think that maybe they did have a connection?
I don't know. I had not heard, like, when I heard about them kissing at the ranch, I was surprised. Like, girl, what? That's
yeah.
So I hadn't heard about them having a connection. I know Ryan has said, that they have had one, but and I don't want to get into the rumors, but I personally have not seen them out or interact in a way that came across like there was something more to them. I mean, more, to their relationship or to their connection.
Okay. Well, I mean, I wonder because Tommy did say like somebody has to be going back and carrying tea, right? From the men's, but on the other hand, like for instance, when Joel mentioned you being his number one, I'm glad that somebody did take that back because Vernisha probably needed to know that. I mean, so what's your take on that? Because he talks to the women as well, and there could be women that go back. Everybody can go back and share, but do you think that what happens in the deliberation should stay private so you guys don't know, or do you think it's just part of the game to for it to go back and forth?
I feel like it should stay private in the conversation. I mean, in the deliberation. I do feel like if you hear something about a person that is off-putting to you, then I do feel like you have the right to go and ask that person for clarification on that. But as far as like gossiping back and forth, because the message and the bone is never carried exactly how it was delivered.
That's true.
And so it just makes an already very intense situation even murkier. So I feel like if you hear something about someone, then yes, you should address it. But as far as talking about something, especially if you have nothing to do with that connection or that relationship, just going back to talk about it just because, no, I feel like that's being a little bit messy.
Yeah. Well, Angelique says women are always harder on each other than they are the men. That's just that's unfortunately how things go. I wanted to ask you about the relationship with women because it was like two extremes. You had Chrysanthemum and Stacey that became like besties, and I can see how that would make some of the guys feel uncomfortable, just because one of the things that they did not acknowledge tonight on the reunion when they were talking about that relationship, and Stacey did a good job of kind of trying to show a little hypocrisy, but what the guys don't do is come back and say, oh, well, you said that she was your number one. Like, they actually had scenes like that where they were like trying to, you know, put people on blast, and guys don't do that. So I think that's one of the differences as well. We don't see men coming. They may do some other petty stuff,
Right.
but actually, you know, there were situations where Chrysanthemum and Stacey were putting somebody, trying to straighten them. Ron actually got caught up. You know, well, you said this, well, you told her this.
Right.
That makes it to where that's why those friendships seem a little bit like inappropriate, because you're there on a dating show. Even when Alexis like went at Amber, like, I feel like you're a Judas and betraying me. And it's like, but really, you guys are all here to date these guys. So really, you know, should there be a situation where somebody feels like their friendship with another female makes them to where that person is off limits? Did you form close relationships with any of the women? And did you feel like, because like, I'm sure anybody that was friends with Vernisha did not want to date Joelle, but really that's not what the show is really created for, right?
Correct. So that's kind of two-part answer to that. So I'll address Vernisha. Vernisha and I, we were cool during filming, but we didn't really become super close until like the very end, and then definitely thereafter once everything was done. But I actually kind of got some slack for having that perspective of not really coming there for friendships. I was actually like, I some of the ladies said to me that, you know, well, Kyra, you know, you didn't come here. Like, it was almost negative that my focus was more so on finding love in a you know, relationship with the man versus the sisterhood, you know, friendship, because that does make the whole thing kind of weird if that's my girl, but we both like this guy. Like, for me personally, that wasn't what my focus was. So I was very pleasant with the ladies, open, you know, so having friendships, but I did not want a friendship to hinder my thought process and how I pursued a guy that I may have really, you know, had a connection with. So I was open to friendships and, you know, being out like, that's my sister now. But during filming, you know, that was not my main focus. And my intention in not liking Joelle was not because of Vernisha. It was more so Joelle has children in a very delicate space, that they do not have a mother. And I have to be honest with myself. I would talk to my friends about it. I'm like, yo, this guy, he's kind of fly, you know, his hands look good, got his little chest hairs out. But, you know, I'm not just thinking about the right now. I'm thinking, okay, this is for something that's long term. And I don't know if where I'm at in my life, I'm not trying to replace anybody, and that's not what he was asking for, but I don't know if I'm ready to step in and give them what they would need in that motherly figure right now, knowing that it's not that they have a mom, that they're just separated. They don't have a mother at all right now. And so that's why I was just like, he's cool, but not for me. Not so much because of Vernisha. That just made it easier, I guess, maybe for us to become friends. But I was, like I said, I was open to friendships, but personally, that wasn't
your focus. Yeah. Well, I mean, that's not what the show is about. And I also think that's probably why most of the men, I think that's probably why you scored big with the men, because they felt like you were actually there for them. I think, you know, that would make sense. But I also understand in some of the other seasons, the women have, you know, become really close. It seems like the guys became really close this season.
Yeah.
But I do think it could distract and take away from the show, because I felt like when Alexis confronted Amber, I was like, but you can't feel like that, because she's not. I mean, it was a good moment at the ranch, but
I was like, oh, this is
I know. I was like, okay, wow. But I don't feel like Amber did her wrong. Did you feel like Amber was wrong for being honest about that?
Because they did have a friendship, I could see why Alexis felt how she felt, because they weren't, you know, categorized as freaking friends, but they had developed a sincere, you know, friendship, at least so it appeared. And so I could see how Alexis felt slighted. I do believe that Alexis had confided in Amber a lot, and so I could see how maybe if she had been aware of their relationship, not so much she wouldn't have been friends, but maybe she would have just handled their friendship and maybe had certain boundaries with what they talked about.
Yeah.
So I can see how it's like, okay, I get that, we're on a show, but if you know I'm liking someone and you didn't tell me that you were feeling him at all, and then all of a sudden I find out from him that y'all kissed, I could see how, she felt the way about that.
Yeah, I can see. That does make sense. I just feel like she didn't answer the question when Ron said that they had a connection.
Where's my water at?
KG may want to be careful. KG may want to be careful there. I don't know. The show is not really set up to create a loving situation. So with that being said, you guys ended the show. AJ's on the piano, sing the song. You say we can date. You guys are supposed to be dating. You say that you had a trip planned, so you went out of the country for 2 weeks. Mm-hmm. And during that 2 weeks, AJ ends up going on a date with Alexis, the very person that he chose you over and sent home. Mm-hmm. What is your thought process on that?
I was disappointed, and I was disappointed in both parties. I had reached out to Alexis when the show ended, not to just on some like, hey, I know it's your birthday, it passed. Alexis knew kind of my stance on not trying to muddy this friendship and dating ship at the same time. And so she was like, Kyra, like, just let your guard down. Maybe there could be something that, that you could really gain from a friend. And so I reached out to her and I said, I appreciated you reaching out and trying to help me bring my guard down in that sense. And so I was hoping that, we could continue in that effort. And if you answered, we could talk. If you didn't answer, I wouldn't take any offense to it. Mm-hmm. And so she said, I appreciate that. And I did let her know at that time that AJ and I were dating.
So she wasn't being honest when she said she didn't know that.
Let me just finish it. So no, I didn't say that we were in a relationship. I said we're dating. I did not end in a committed relationship, but we are seriously dating. And so when I go on my trip, I was out of the country for 2 weeks. I made every effort to show my intention to AJ. When I got back, I was ready to like make AJ my guy.
Okay.
We had gotten to that point. Literally the day that this happened, I was like, because I thought that the piano scene was very romantic. Like I wanted to reciprocate. So I'm trying to plan something special. And then I got a phone call from Alexis to let me know that, they had been kicking it. And so I was just like, wait, what? And so her interpretation was that, I did tell her, but then AJ painted a different picture. And so I was like, well, if you didn't call me to clarify, why are you calling me now? Kind of was how I felt at the time. And then I looked at AJ like, what in the world is going on? Now, understanding dating, you have the right to date whoever you want to date. We are not in a committed relationship. Mm-hmm. We have not taken that step. But I just would have, like I said before, just be honest with me, be transparent. When I feel like you kind of are deceitful and lying and not really painting the full picture, that's when I have a problem with how to proceed. So I was definitely disappointed. I was definitely hurt to have found that out.
So she called. So again, she still did know that you guys were dating, and she said today on the reunion. Well, she said on the reunion, we know it wasn't take today, that she didn't know that you guys were dating, and if she had known that, she would not have went out with AJ.
I told her. And when I called her, it wasn't even me trying to throw anything in her face. It was more so me reaching out, like, not to tell her even about dating, like, hey, how's your birthday? Happy birthday. Like, I hope you're doing well.
I would assume that she kind of would know you guys were dating just because of the way the show ended, right?
Well, she, everybody knew that Kyra hadn't actually said, I choose you.
Gotcha.
When we talked about, I didn't say, like I said, I've made it very clear we are not in a committed relationship. I did clarify that, but I did say that we were dating. Now, if AJ went and told her something different, right, that's between their conversation.
But you guys did have a conversation. So when she called you to tell you that she and AJ had been going out, was that to warn you, or was that just to put you up on what was going on?
It was her. She was trying to find out what was going on. I guess since I had come back in town, or before I come back in town, AJ's behavior had changed. And so she was trying to, so she called me, she was like, hey, I'm trying to figure out. So when she called, she said, hey, I'm just trying to figure out what's going on with you and AJ. I was like, well, we're dating, and like, I'm actually, about to make this thing solid. Like, why are you asking?
Yeah.
And then that's when I kind of got a bomb dropped on me that they had definitely been kicking it since
Wow.
time.
Seemed like the camera should have kept rolling. Damn. That's so if that didn't happen, then you would have moved forward with AJ.
Like literally that day, like I was literally planning, like, do I want to do a staycation? Do I want to have a chef and a masseuse come to the house? Do I want to forget having a chef come? I'm gonna cook myself. So I was literally like looking up like what recipes I wanted to do to, show him, that this is really what I want to do. And then when I got that call, I was like, the Lord be knowing. The Lord be knowing.
Wow. But you know what's kind of I feel kind of bad because she reached out to him. That was clear. He didn't reach out to her. She reached out to him. And he probably did feel bad because it was obvious that, at least from my perspective, I was told to say from my perspective and not from the viewer's perspective, but watching the show, it was obvious that AJ was really into you. Even Alexis acknowledged when she came on the show that if she could have seen, like, been the outside looking in, she probably missed out on some things that he did that showed he was more into you than into her at the time. So I feel like if he just hadn't have fell for the bait, y'all would be happy now. So
if I hadn't gotten that call, like when I tell you, like, it was like literally the same day, within a couple hours, I was on the phone with my homegirl and she was like, how are you playing? Like, in your mind, that's already a guy, like, just make it official. I was like, you know what, you're right. And then a couple hours later, while I'm in my office, taking a break from work, trying to plan stuff, I got this call and I was like, oh yeah, no, I'm good.
Now it seems like, Kyra, you're very slow to open up. So by the time he got you to open up, Alexis messed it up. But it seemed like you're even from what when your ex came to visit the show, it seemed like you I don't know if you've been hurt before or you're just extremely cautious. You definitely felt like you have more wall up than some of the other ladies, did. And that can be good, but it can also keep love out sometimes. Do you think that did you learn anything about that, or how do you see that playing out as you move forward with dating and meeting guys?
I kind of feel like I didn't get a fair shake in that essence because Jason and I had some very intimate conversations, just about who we are. And I think that's why he and I kind of clicked so well so early on, because I did open up to him in ways that I don't typically open up to guys. So I'm kind of like, there's conversations that y'all that are not shown that kind of. So when I was saying certain things, when he was like, yeah, you're not opening up. And I was like, what do you mean I'm not opening up? Like, there are a lot of things that some of my friends don't even know about me or, layers to me. So I was kind of frustrated with that. But with AJ, I was not quick to open up because even though I said, I'm letting go of the past, AJ hadn't really shown me his intention, even though we were moving forward, and letting the past be the past. So I am open and vulnerable when I've been shown that that's a safe space to be. So the quicker you can show me that I can trust you, and I'm not saying like you're up against a clock, but if the time and the experiences allow me to, or for us to show each other that we can be honest and safe and that I do trust that your intentions are, sincere, then I have no problem being, upfront. Now, can I work on that? I'm not gonna lie. Yes, I can.
Did you see anything that I always ask people, what did they learn about themselves, and what did they learn that they can take forward? So what did you learn watching yourself and watching the season?
I definitely learned how to be more vulnerable, but being protective at the same time. That the two can coexist, and still allowing yourself to be open. For someone to really be able to see all of your colors and who you are. So I did take away from that, and I also learned to have tough conversations and say things that need to be said and not be fearful of hurting someone's feelings or how they may take things. So those are definitely two big takeaways of mine.
Would you be open at the end, at least from today? I know there's part 2 coming, but from today you said if AJ wants to pursue, he knows what he needs to do that, because he technically didn't really do anything wrong, but it didn't make you feel comfortable moving forward. Would you be open to continuing to date him if he did try to do that?
AJ and I tried dating post show, and
It didn't work.
It just has not worked. No.
Okay. Well,
I think he's a great guy. I think he's a really, really good guy. I just question if the compatibility and we're a good fit together.
yeah. Well, that's fair. That's fair. What is Kyra? Because obviously there are a lot of guys that are probably, I'm sure your DMs are lit up. And
they're actually not that bad. I'm like, okay,
really?
they
probably don't know where you are, Kyra, because your social media is very professional. Your social media shows you're serious about what you do. You're a professional woman. I really appreciate that about you. It's like, yeah, I did this show and all that, but you're serious about what you're doing. So the right guy will come. But what are you looking for? Because you are young. 34 is very, very young. Mm-hmm. You obviously know that you're not quite ready for like a huge family at this point. What are you looking for? What do you think is, at least from right now, like what are maybe 4 or 5 things on Kyra's list that she knows she needs after going through this experience? Moving forward, these are things that I need. In a man that I'm going to be dating, or that I'm going to eventually try, be looking to marry.
Definitely someone who is equipped and looking to lead the household, but respects me and what my strengths are and that we work well together. Someone who is good with communicating, even through the hard conversations. Someone who is definitely Christian led. I didn't really talk about or get into that much on the show, but I would definitely have to have a man where he's Christian and we're both being led by God, and that allows me to surrender to him. Mm-hmm. Someone who is family oriented and does want a family. Like I do want children, I do want kids, and definitely someone who is striving for more in life. Not to just have all the wealth in the world, but to be fulfilled in themselves, and also be impactful and help other people in their family and their community as well.
Yeah, nice. Well, that you will definitely come across that when the time is right, because you have that's a good list that's filled with character as opposed to some of the other things. Is there anything that you learned that you don't want from this experience? Like, I'm definitely realized I'm staying away from that.
Not so much staying away from it, but I feel like sometimes as women, we know what we want, and then we question if we're being too hard on ourselves or if we need to lower standards in a certain way. And, oh, he's a good guy, so I should just go for him because he's a good guy. But if he doesn't really meet what you need, then I feel like we cut ourselves short. And so I've definitely kind of just gotten more confirmation to stand for what I want. Now, be compromising, of course, and nobody's going to be perfect. But if there are key elements in a person that you want, don't waver in that. And even if you come across somebody that's a good guy, don't try to just be like, oh, well, this other stuff isn't that important. No, if it's important to you, it's important for a reason. And the right person will come around, in the right timing.
That's really good advice. That's very good dating advice for women, because there's a lot of times, I think, especially in places where there's a large population of available, beautiful, professional women can feel pressure to like, okay, well, he's a good guy, I may not have another opportunity, let me just take that. But that never works out. That never ever works, ever. So that's really good advice, and I commend you for having the confidence to stand in your truth, regardless of what was going on around you. I'm sure it's easy to get caught up in that show, and so I respect and admire that. Let me ask you this, because you gave us a good list. You were mature with your list. You gave us a list based on good characteristics. So if you had to give us like a celebrity crush that would give us the external of what Kyra's into, who would that be?
I like tall, chocolate, and muscular. So
that's too.
I like tall, chocolate, and muscular. And that's my physical aesthetic. That's
Okay.
what I visually like.
Well, maybe Tommy will have you come back. Would you do another reality?
No, ma'am.
Good for
No,
you.
ma'am.
Good for you.
Hell to the no. I don't regret it. If I could go back in time, I would do it again. There are some things that I would do differently. But hindsight 2020 is always, better vision.
Yeah.
But so I don't regret having done it. And if I could go back in time, I would still do it, but I would not do it a second go around.
You wouldn't do a second round. What did your mom say about the situation? What was her feedback, or did she have feedback on AJ?
She thought that AJ was a good guy. She thought he was, cool, but she questioned if he could provide me what I need.
Yeah.
And just like the emotional compatibility. AJ is very driven professionally, and so do you have the balance to make the break there?
Yeah.
And balancing both things. And so she thought he was a good guy, but she was like, I think he's cool, but
not. So your family did, and for even early on, it just did not seem to think that you were really gonna, like, nobody was, even with Jason, it was like, are you really? It just didn't seem like anybody really think that felt like there was a great choice for you. That they, knowing you, that they thought it would work. Yeah.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
I can get that perception, but when you feel like what you've been doing hasn't been working, then you're being like, okay, well, let me try something different. Let me step outside of the box and see if the problem is that I'm looking at the wrong type of guy.
Yeah.
And so they were open to me dating, but they were kind of like, I'm not sure. But hey, if you like it, then go for it.
We'll see what happens. Mm-hmm. Well, I appreciate you hanging out and appreciate you being just honest with us. Any couple, I mean, it's kind of difficult because we only have at this point Amber and KG and Vernicia and Joelle. And I've said I just don't have a lot of confidence in either of those couples. I wish I did, but I just don't. I have more confidence in Christian and Andrea. And
wow.
I would love to see Khalil and Ida because I think they could be a good balance. But Joelle, I just don't think is serious. Even he made a comment tonight, y'all. I don't know if you guys missed it, but he was like, even if you come to the show for brotherhood and for an old lady, you don't get that, but you get brotherhood. I was like, I just don't know. But were you rooting for either of those couples or Jason?
So I was definitely rooting for Joelle and Vernicia. I think like V was really, she came into the scene not carrying any baggage from old relationships, as far as like you may have that one in the cusp where you're like, hey, just go on the show and stay right there. But no, she really cut all guys off, and she was really, being honest and genuine and sincere with Joelle. And there were some scenes, where he said certain things throughout the season where I was just like, okay, that's interesting. So I was cheering for them sincerely. I still am, and so we'll see, if they make it. Jason didn't choose me, he chose Liz. But I did think, and I even mentioned this to Liz at the end of the reunion. We were in the back dressing room, and I just think, I really do think that you and Jason make a great couple, and I wish you guys the best. And KG and Amber, I do definitely wish them the best as well.
Yeah. All right. Well, Miss Kyra, we appreciate you. Is there any way you want to give people your information if they want to follow you?
Sure. No, go ahead. I'm sorry.
Oh no, I just give people your information if they want to find out and follow you. They may need a lawyer.
For sure. I'm a partner at the Curry Law Firm, but the easiest way to catch me is probably on Instagram at ITS Coffey, COFFEY, time, TIME. You can also catch my podcast, Above the Bar podcast on YouTube.
Very nice. Well, congratulations on all your success.
Thank you.
We're going to continue to see you because, like I said, I checked your social media. You're very good at what you do and you're very serious about it. And so, and that's always admirable. I know that love is coming for you as well.
Thank you.
So, keep us posted on anything that happens, and we will definitely be tuning in next week for the
part 2
of this weekend. Thanks, Kyra.
Yes. No, thank you. It was a pleasure. Take care.
All right, you too. All right, guys. So that was interesting conversation. with Kyra. I love the fact that she is very honest. She was very genuine, and that came through on the show, and that also came through in this interview. Now, we got to talk because next week is part 2 of this reunion, and we have the couples that did make it coming on the show. So please tune in. We're going to take a break for the 4th of July, but we're going to be back on Friday to recap the rest of this reunion. And like I said, we have the remaining couples coming on, along with a couple of other cast members as well. So stay tuned. If you have not subscribed already, please make sure that you do subscribe. And as always, I love you guys for watching. We're going to get into the rest of this next week. I have some tips that's going to be even better than today's reunion. So I'll see you guys right back here Friday at 10. And then, like I said, next week we have a couple of surprises coming with the rest of the cast. So you guys have a great 4th of July weekend. I love you for watching, and I'll see you next time.